Cuesta Athletics. I'm Peter Schuler, and we are approaching March Madness, so it's time to check in with Cuesta basketball. Representatives from both the men's and women's teams will join us today. We will also check in with Cuesta Athletic Director Bob Mariucci for the interview. First up on Cuesta Sports Monthly, it's men's basketball. Joining me are assistant coach Devin Thomas and center Logan Knuckles. Welcome, Devin. Welcome, Logan, to Cuesta Sports Monthly. You guys are kind of heading down the stretch right now. Let's talk a little bit about the team. Started 3-11 on the season, a real rough start to the season. Now you guys are 12-14 and still mathematically in the playoff hunt. Just want to talk about that turnaround and how you guys feel about coming into this last week of the season.
Great. Yeah, we've started out real slow. We have a young team, and a lot of times at this level, trying to get used to playing at a higher level and college level experience is a totally different ballgame from high school. And we also bring in a lot of international players, and so them getting used to the United States and the way that the game transfers over is also takes a little time, we've seen. And just getting our team to gel and find the pieces that seem to work well together did take some time, but we did see some good things in the beginning of the year that we built on, and all of a sudden we turned things around. And since the Christmas break or around then, I believe we're 9-3. So it was 3-11 to 9-3 now. Like you said, we're 12-14, and it's been a pleasure to see the growth.
It's been a complete turnaround.
Complete turnaround.
Logan, you're one of the few guys who are here from locally. You're from Atascadero.
Yeah.
What is it like for you coming in here? Playing with people from Atascadero or around Slow County, become a small community, to have people from pretty much all over the world here.
It was crazy. I think it's a great experience. I'm learning a lot from the people from internationally, and I think it's just a good chance to learn things new from overseas. And everyone plays a little different, especially the international players, and having them figure everything out.
Now, when you came in last spring or last season, it kind of spring because we didn't have a.
That's right.
Yeah. Really just had a very shortened season during the COVID time. You kind of developed more into a post type player.
Oh yeah.
Now, one of the things we've noticed this year is this team does not go into the post very often. Is that, as effective as you are in there, is that difficult for you to sit there and watch guys rain threes while you're sitting there posting up like somebody who you could beat?
Yeah, it depends. If they make it, we can't really complain about it. But I think we changed our whole style. It's because we have a bunch of different players now, and especially the international players that just like to shoot it up, and they keep making them. So whatever is good for the team.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to be inside all the time when you just sit there. You're basically left to be a rebounder at that point, right? Now, what as a coach, what was that transition point from there? Was that because you guys really did change from trying to run a more traditional offense to open it up and shooting threes a lot?
Yeah, I've noticed since I played back in my day, and I believe it was 04, 05, it's always been more of a guard-oriented style at the junior college level. So unless you have a whole bunch of really strong post style play that ends up getting kind of into a guard-oriented up and down style of game, which kind of pulls you out of the traditional back to the basket style that a true center would be playing. And we kind of had to make adjustments because we were having a hard time stopping the penetration and also getting good looks. And so we went to a more spread out style offense, which opened up more driving lanes to the drive and kick, and we have a lot of good shooters that seemingly feed well off of each other. And so it's been better for our team as far as winning ball games to play more guard-oriented 5 spread and use, actually, we call it, I'll leave it at that. I can't be giving away no, we don't give away our plays on live camera. My fault, Coach. Yeah.
Logan, what do you think about just the team chemistry? Has it worked well? Do you think as a group? I mean, you have Americans, you have people from
overseas.
From Belgium. From
Yeah.
Oh, we can go down the list, but how is that culturally for you guys? Does that make it pretty easy? Does everybody kind of dip into everybody's well a little bit?
Yeah. I know in the beginning of the year we didn't have as much team chemistry as our record pretty much shows.
Yeah.
I don't think that any of the international students or anyone that's from here has any had a problem with that. But after our Christmas tournament, we all sort of just clicked together and we all started working together a lot better with our team chemistry, and then started winning our all-over games.
Now, because we have so many people from out of the area, do you think it's, to your benefit as a local student athlete coming to Cuesta College? I mean, that kind of gives you a totally different experience that you would at any other community college.
Yeah, it changed. It changed like my thoughts of community college a lot different, especially coming here because I'm the only local kid now, and I'm just loving it with the international students.
Now, you came here. Cuesta's always had kind of because Coach Blair spent 20 some odd years coaching in Europe. A lot of his former players and stuff will encourage their students to come over. You played with that system. How'd that change for you? And
when I played for Cuesta, it happened to be a year where we didn't have a lot of recruitment, so we actually took mostly local players, and unfortunately, using mostly local players against some of these other schools that had a lot of other areas to recruit from, we saw our record being one of not very good. In fact, I think I might have been on the lower end of his career and seasons with the amount of wins we had. I think we only won 5 games my season, unfortunately, but it was still a good time. But you have to recruit outside of the area, it seems, to be able to put together a competitive enough team to, make a shot in the playoff run and to win this league.
So after that season, was that what sent you off to another winning team and decided to join into the military at that point?
That's right. Yeah. I played basketball at Cuesta, and I was one of those type of students that had a hard time staying inside the classroom and being able to pay attention. I realized that I'm more of a hands-on learner, and I had a lot to want to learn and see in the world, and I did want to serve my country, so I decided to join the Army when I was 25. And so I did a little college, played some ball, went to the military, got that 4 years in the service, and now I've been out 7 or 8 years and been now able to coach at Cuesta for my first
back
full
and mentoring
season.
and helping,
Yes,
bringing those things you learned back to those students.
Being a part of something, again, bigger than myself. It's been great.
All right. Well, we'll leave it right there. Thank you very much for joining us. Logan Knuckles, Devin Thomas, thank you for joining us here at Cuesta Sports Monthly. And when we come back, we'll be up with women's basketball and check in on the Cuesta women's basketball players when we return with more Cuesta Sports Monthly.
This program is produced by Cuesta Broadcasting. Start your radio, TV, and film career at Cuesta College.
Women's basketball, we welcome returning freshmen Julia Carney and Mary Jo Rodriguez. Welcome, ladies, to Cuesta Sports Monthly. Let's start off your journey coming here to Cuesta College. Mary Jo, you came from Delano. What was it brought you over here to San Luis Obispo?
Well, I've had family members come out here. I had my cousin play out here on the women's volleyball team. They introduced me to campus, and I fell in love with it. My brother came out here. He told me he liked it too, so I was like, well, might as well not stay local, go somewhere.
And so now we've had a year kind of off and on for basketball. How's that transition been for you coming here to Cuesta College, getting to play basketball, kind of not playing basketball? Have you been here the whole time?
I'll go home here and there, kind of long drive. But I was like, I want to play, so might as well make the trip. Very long.
Now, Julia, you're kind of local. You started off on the mean streets of Cayucas,
Yeah.
and then kind of moved down to Mission Prep and so San Luis Obispo before coming to Cuesta. Kind of talk about your journey here to Cuesta College.
Well, I always knew I wanted to play at Cuesta personally because, I grew up playing in the gym with Barba and Rusty and Casey. Casey was actually like our ref most of the time in our Cuesta league, so it was crazy playing for him. But I always knew I wanted to stay local and take advantage of the 2-year promise, of course, and it's a great academic opportunity. So, and then my dad was the assistant coach here for a couple years, so I always knew perfect opportunity and perfect timing. So.
Now, what was it like for you guys? You guys, like you said, you've known Casey Blair for a while, and you guys, when you first got here was the men's assistant. What's it like having Casey now as your head coach, and how's he doing out there? He's only the third head coach in our program's history, so I just want to.
Well, it's a big difference. Honestly, I think his program is really structured. He's taken a lot of good things over on the men's team. Obviously, he was a huge part of the men's team. He's like, Rusty's like the logo and Casey's like the back brains, and they both work together and create this like huge, great program. So it's been cool. He creates a lot of structure, a lot more than MJ and I think we're used to in the first couple years. So good new program and a bunch of new plays, and he's taken like the things like from the guys team over to the girls team. So it's been really good. I like him a lot as a new coach. So
now, kind of talk about a little bit about the men's team, how they've become more of a guard-oriented team.
Mm-hmm.
You still have two great post players in Meadow Engel and Haley Abel, but it's still a pretty guard-oriented team. You guys are, the scoring is mostly from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So is that kind of by plan, or do you think, is that more comfortable for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were blessed, honestly, with some great shooters this year. I think we have really good, like you said, guard-heavy team. But obviously we could not do it without Meadow or Haley. Haley is, like I said, I think she's on track for making a school record or breaking a school record with the amount of rebounds she has per game. So we couldn't get those, especially the kickbacks out from the missed shots. So, I mean, we couldn't do it without either of them dominating the boards.
MJ, what do you think makes this team special so far this year?
I would say both our guards and posts. We both have it strong both ways. We have our guards on top for shooting, and then our rebounding from our bigs.
Now, you're a little different from the men's team because you're pretty much all within 100 miles. I mean, Delano may be the first person away going for high school. Has that made a difference for your team as kind of grew, at least knowing each other a little bit? I mean, you guys are returning, so you've kind of seen everybody before.
Mm-hmm.
But does that make a factor? Does that kind of help Casey with that new group, just to having your guys' familiarity with each other?
I think it was super cool for me personally, like I said, growing up here, because I played against all these girls in high school, so it was almost like against all my rivals, and then we all came together this season. So it was like playing with all my rivals against Paso, who else we have, Mission, Slow, all the different teams. And so it's been super cool. Now we all get to play together and work together. In high school, we used to go at each other. So I think it's been a cool flip around for us.
So you already had that little bit of respect already there.
Yeah.
Now, you guys have played through the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of been tough. You took a year off, and you guys have been kind of going to. How has that affected you as a player and as a student?
Well, it affected me as a player last year we only had 5 players, so it's like we had to push harder, stay on track with school, and then online on school was not going it for half of us. So now that we're able to go on campus, I think it's helped a lot of us stay on focus with school and then think about basketball. But it's been a tough ride.
Yeah, I mean, that year off for me helped me grow a lot, developmentally off the court. Obviously didn't take a whole year off basketball, so I was still working out. I put a lot of muscle on, and then lost all that muscle because we're running so much. Again, we have such a small team, so it's run. And Casey likes to run the ball, so it did help me a lot, especially with my skills. So I got to hone those skills in, and I obviously got to come back with MJ, Jade, and Mackenzie. So it was a good break, I feel like.
So because you still have that core kind of group.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like you guys, do you, as sophomores and returners, I guess you're all still officially freshmen, right?
Yeah.
So does that make a difference for you guys? Could you kind of help set the tone with the new kids coming in?
Yeah, for sure. I think especially, because on both we're freshmen, but we all have that experience, especially both of us playing for a different coach for Barba, and now we're playing for Casey. So I think we took that, leadership that we had on Barbara's team, and we took it over to Casey's team, and they all look up to us, and they all have that respect. They know, even though we're all freshmen, they respect us for being there and sticking with the program even after all these years. So it's been super cool.
Saved the program. It could have been tough after skipping a year, then the COVID and stuff like that. So you guys coming back really made a big difference there. After playing for Barba, who is a very vocal, demanding coach, and now Casey, he seems quiet. Is he as quiet as he seems, or is he under his breath? Is he letting you guys know what it's about?
There's been times, I think most people see that he's quiet and reserved, but there's definitely, if you watch the film, there's been games, I could say Hancock, even parts of Santa Barbara where you guys filmed it and everybody saw it. You can see he gets fired up. He definitely advocates for us a lot, and he knows when he needs to fire us up. He yells at us when we need it. So, and in the locker room, we get it at halftime. We know when he's mad. But no,
I kind of want to see that. You guys are coming close to the season. You got the final week coming up. Still kind of be tough to make the playoffs, but if you have two strong games, you never know what happens. But what about your plans for the future? Are you guys looking to play? You guys are still officially freshmen. You could come back next year. But what are your guys' plans for the future, Mary Jo?
I plan either to go to Alabama or ASU. Those are my two dream schools right now. But I'm ready to move on with school. I'm done with basketball. These 3 years have been tough, but I need to focus on what I want to go do.
Alabama's a bit away. Would you still kind of, those are big-time schools, or all scholarship. Would you play intramural or something like that, or just?
If I can, I would, but other than that, I'm just going to focus on school.
All right. How about you, Julie?
I'm going through the recruiting process. We're gonna see. So we're gonna stick around, and I want to stay in California, and definitely looking at Division II, Division III. So won't go too far. Not as far as Alabama, but somewhere in California we're gonna stay.
But you want to continue playing?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I guess the last question here is kind of as you're coming into the season, and you guys right now you have Ventura's the next game,
Moore Park and Ventura,
and Moore Park and Ventura. Those are two of the toughest teams in the conference. Both ranked at the top 15. What do you guys plan going into those? So you want to leave on a high note. But what do you guys have planned for those two teams?
I think both those teams we showed we can hang with them, especially in Moore Park. I mean, we were up by 2, I think, at halftime, and we shocked them when they came into our gym. They're ranked, I think, in the top 5 in the state. So they're used to dominating their teams, and I think they overlooked us. And I think that we have some revenge to pay back on their court when we go down there. And Ventura, too, we proved we could hang with them. For the while we did, we just slipped on some of our mistakes, and I think we've learned from those and we've practiced. And we're prepared. We're ready to go into them.
Against Moore Park, you were up by 2 at half and ended up losing. And Ventura, you were down by 2. So very close games.
Yeah.
So you just need those 4 quarters all the way through. Huh?
Yeah, the 2 last quarters.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Mary Jo, for joining us here at Cuesta Sports Monthly. When we return, Cuesta Sports Monthly, I'll have a few minutes with Cuesta Athletic Director Bob Mariucci. Cuesta Sports Monthly returns.
Cuesta.edu. Television, radio, broadcast, communication. Explore the world of digital communication and tap into your creative genius. Television, radio, broadcast, communication.
This is your boy, the DUI, and you're listening to KGUR.org.
Your digital future is at Cuesta College right now. Log on to Cuesta.edu now for enrollment dates and class information.
Hey, don't get the boom in the shot. Blown it, bro.
Cuesta.edu.
Welcome back to Cuesta Sports Monthly. I am joined by Cuesta Athletic Director Bob Mariucci. Bob, our most frequent guest. Love to have you back here at Cuesta Sports Monthly. We're kind of getting to the tail end, let's hope, of the pandemic, and we've got through a fall season pretty solidly.
Yeah.
basketball's almost done. You're getting ready for baseball and softball are started. Track starts this week. Swimming has already started. How are you feeling about this? The way this year is going?
Thanks for asking. Thanks for having me. Hey, but it's been the last couple of years has been challenging, but we've been doing well, and like you said, hopefully we're coming out. Our contests and games is a little bit more normal than it has been. So, it's been a challenging year and a half. I mean, it's you watch games and you see these kids compete, which is awesome, and that's what we do it for. But behind the scenes, there's just a lot that goes on with testing protocols and safety protocols and so forth. But we're doing great and we're doing well, and so it's good to be where we're at right now and having the opportunity for these kids to compete. Watching the basketball kids talk earlier, we have a few more games at home. It's been good. I mean, it's been good. They had a really good season. Going back to this fall, I would just say our fall was really good, and that. I mean, our water polos and cross country teams and volleyball, it was one of the more successful falls we've had in years. So it was good to see that. It was really good to see that.
Yeah, cross country did well. Volleyball made the playoffs for the first time in over a decade.
Yeah.
Men's water polo was right up there at the very top, and we had a couple of state place winners from wrestling. So it was a great fall.
Yeah.
And basketball started off slowly, and both teams have really played well during conference. So
yeah, they've been fun to watch. I mean, these kids, like you talked about, their 3-point shooting. Both teams, they've been very exciting to watch, and it's kind of sad it's coming to an end. But we are in our spring sports season coming up right now with baseball and softball and swimming and track, and those are big squads, and so we're looking forward to that as well. So right now,
now one of the things you've been doing, you have been on the point man for athletics for COVID. Every game you're out there, you're checking to make sure everybody's passing. You're in charge of everybody. Actually, everybody who tests to make sure the kids are all good. What has that changed for your position here at Cuesta College? I mean, it's got to be a lot of changes for you.
Yeah. Well, props to everybody too. I mean, the coaching staff and the athletic trainers and the equipment personnel. Really, it's been a group effort to make this happen, and from the president on down, allowing us to have athletics. Even last year, so it's been a team effort by everybody. But like you said, someone's got to orchestrate all that. And make sure that the testing results are in and the protocols are in. I mean, even just visiting teams coming, they need to know what is expected. Are vaccinations required and so forth? So that's what I'm saying about, watching a game is great, but there's so much behind the scenes that needs to take place with communication to other schools and to your athletes. And so, like I said, it's been a group effort, and I'm glad we're being able to do it and so forth. So it's been good.
Now, one of the things that, we've seen the students we talked about, MJ and Julia just now, who are both in their third year at Cuesta and still officially freshmen. Yeah. There seems to be a lot of things that they've lost. What do you think things that you think have been good, or not good, but things that have been positive, the things that you will keep from this pandemic, and what are the things that we can do to help the students going forward?
Yeah. Last year we did continue to practice, throughout this pandemic safely with the right protocols in place. So we're grateful to have these student athletes in our, everyday, daily contact in person and so forth. So that was important, I think, for their mental health, for just being engaged with their teammates and so forth. So we did that. I think that was important to do. And I think that's why we came back so strong in the fall, to be honest with you. We didn't lose a lot of kids. I mean, there wasn't a lot of kids that left the program. I mean, our numbers were really significant, like this past fall and even into the spring. So the positive is that we kept these kids engaged. And then I look at some kids that maybe last year they were ready to transfer and they just didn't get that year to be looked at, or whatever, baseball or softball student athletes that didn't get a chance to get looked at, and now academically they're ready to transfer, and they didn't have that opportunity yet. And some came back, some got lost in the shuffle, because even at the Division I level where our kids would go, they retained those scholarships. So there was nothing for our kids. Water polo, it was a good example of that. I mean, just a lot of kids got kind of left in that 1 year that kind of hurt them a little bit. So, but I said, some have come back, some have moved on. There's a couple water polo girls that went on and got some nice scholarship opportunities. So, we're hopefully coming out of that.
Now, what are some of the projects you have? I mean, I know everything's been kind of on hold. Do you have things that you coming out of the pandemic that you're looking forward to doing?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm just looking forward, and I think you had it in your list the Booster Club and so forth. I just the interaction that we've had with just the community and people and fans. You know, even the fans have not returned as normal just yet. You know what I mean? There's still protocols in place, and I'm just looking forward to just being more involved and being able to have student athlete interaction and group gatherings and barbecues that we've had with all of our athletes and so forth. We still just haven't come back fully from that, and so I think going into next year, I look forward to like working with our Booster Club and just being a little bit more interactive with the community once again. So
yeah, you usually have those teams who would be kind of mixing together and doing things.
Yeah,
and that they've kind of, because of COVID, they've had to be insular and be. I'm with basketball.
Yeah.
I'm with water polo. I'm with those type of things.
Yeah.
Some of these things that Cuesta have done, we really kind of were out ahead of a lot of schools because of our protocols and kind of where we are in this kind of spacious area here. What does you think Cuesta College and what we've done out here means to San Luis Obispo County?
Well, number one, I just think the academic institution that Cuesta is. I mean, for our community. I mean, the students that maybe couldn't go away to colleges that they want or planning. I mean, number one, we're a tremendous academic institution for students to get their foundation underneath them, whether you're local or international, like you talked about earlier. Either way, we've maintained the excellence that we have academically. And then I think we've done the same with our sports programs. I really think, like I said, having our kids engaged over this last 2 years, we've continued to do the things that we're supposed to do with student athletes. Make sure they're ready for transfer. Their academics are the number one priority, and let them transfer on and be successful at the next level. And I think Cuesta College does that for local students, for student athletes, or just regular students that are coming to just make sure they're fulfilling their college requirements right away. So I think we've done a good job with that over this time.
Okay, and then I'm just going to go back a little bit just because we were talking about it with MJ and Julia about the change of coaches there right there, and how what do you think about how Casey Blair stepped in, kind of what wasn't expected to, because he'd been the men's assistant, but he jumped in there, and what do you think he's done so far? How do you think he's done?
Both coaches this fall, and we had Rich Furman step in with water polo and Casey with women's basketball. They both did tremendous jobs. It's been great, and again, it hasn't been easy for anybody, let alone with COVID and the testing protocol. So I feel our coaching staff has done a tremendous job, along with our, like I said, our support staff. And but with the women's program, he still has retained good numbers. You saw the look on those girls' faces; they're happy. It's been a really good season for them as well.
So last thing coming up, kind of towards the end of the year, do you think we'll have a in-person Athlete of the Year banquet?
Obviously, you put that on, and we want to do that. We're going to celebrate our athletes some way, whether it's in person or not. Like I said, this fall's been tremendous. I don't see the spring being any different. At the end of the day, we need to celebrate these kids.
All right, that concludes today's edition of the Quest Sports Monthly. We'd like to thank today's guests, Logan Knuckles, Devin Thomas, Mary Jo Rodriguez, Julia Carney, and of course, Bob Mariucci. Remember to stay up to date on your Cougars. Visit the Cuesta Athletic website at cuestaathletics.com. This show is produced at Cuesta College by the Cuesta Film, Television, and Electronic Media Department as part of the Cuesta TV project. I'm Peter Schuler, and for all of us here at Cuesta College, thanks for watching, and thank you for your support of Cuesta Athletics.